Hello and welcome. This is Adegrees ARGB CPU air cooler. The reason I picked this thing to review is my desire to break away from reviewing virtually identical processor heatsinks. I wanted to review something that looked different, so here we are. Costing just 20 Canadian dollars, the price tag doesn't really instill confidence. We will see. The heatsink itself may look familiar to old-timers. This specific design was pretty popular back in 2000s and 10s. You may remember Zalman making a lot of these in copper. But this is made with aluminum, and the overall quality I am seeing here doesn't really give me confidence that this will perform. The bottom finish is especially poor. What they've done is simple. They copied the core design and cheapened out in both material and build quality. They did add an RGB fan to this to modernize. Additionally, the original design had a fan inside of the fins. I do think that would be more effective than the current adaptation. This revised design does allow a slightly bigger fan, but I don't think it's going to be helpful. The fan should have been within the circle of fins. The weight is 175 grams for the heatsink itself. It's 288 grams with the fan. The weight of the bare heatsink is similar to those 50mm height heatsinks. In other words, its TDP should be somewhere around 120 watts. For your information, the page for this cooler claims that this is rated for 110 watts. Given the bare heatsink thermal mass, it should be able to achieve that. Again, we will see. There is no manual, but it's easy to figure things out. The mounting mechanism uses AMD's default retention plastic. Therefore, for AMD systems, installation is breeze. For Intel, it is using a really old-fashioned adapter. From my own experience, this adapter is a bit too old and doesn't really consider the space constraints of ITX motherboards. And I did run into a clearance issue while installing this. It's not much of an issue, but the adapter pushed the inner RAM stick a bit, like by 1mm. The fact that the adapter was touching and pushing the RAM stick was mildly annoying. You can cut some bits off the adapter to make it fully compatible, however. Doing so will surely avoid warranty. Well, you have no such a thing when purchasing things from AliExpress anyway. At idle, the noise is a bit high. Background noise is about low to mid 30 decibels. The meter is reading high 30s to low 40s, so it is a bit high. The artificial load is created by Blender 3D application, which allows me to control how many CPU threads I can utilize, thus allowing me to control TDP. I am going to render a scene I created by using all threads, therefore pushing the TDP to max. The Intel 265K processor can push all the way up to 200 watts on this motherboard safely. I am not sure whether you noticed, but at idle, the temperature was already at 50 degrees Celsius. That was a subtle warning sign for me that this heatsink wouldn't be performing well. And it did indeed perform badly, really badly. Initially, it looked like it could hold up to promised 110 watts of TDP. However, within 60 seconds, the CPU was heavily thermal throttling, and TDP went down low 80s. Yes, it was about 82 watts TDP. That is really low, too low. Do remember that this is an open-air test. Once this goes inside a case, its effective TDP will be around 65 watts at best, not ideal. There is no point in testing this heatsink further. It is a failure and is a total waste of money. Look elsewhere, period. The only redeeming point, if you can even call that, is that the RGB light is pretty. Avoid it at all cost. I don't feel that this heatsink deserves a closing words, so this is it. Thanks for watching and bye.